Hi everyone, it's Jackie, and this story is going to be about how my best friend traumatized me. So I actually just filmed like the whole video and then realized that I never told you guys what my shirt was. So I'm like inserting this back, like what's up, hey everybody. So this is my shirt today, and it says, "It is what it is," and that is my life motto. And once you hear the rest of this story, you will realize that it is what it is. And like, I forgave, but I haven't forgot, fucking bitch. So this story is going to be a one, if I can say so myself. And this is about my best friend who actually, I just pulled like a lump of hair. Who actually still is my best friend to this day. So she's probably gonna watch this, and hey, if you're here, this is about you, and you already know it's about you already know. Like, don't even act like you don't know. So I don't know where to start with this story. I guess I'll start by talking about my best friend and like who she is and how I know her and like stuff like that. So this girl, for the sake of this story, let's call her Abby. So Abby has been my best friend for a long time. Let's see, 10 years now. So this happened around our 7-year mark, so a couple years ago. And this girl, I don't know what to say about her, really. Since we've grown up, like from kids to kind of adults now, she is 4 or 3 years older than me. And so now that we're adults, so I've grown up with her since we were children, so obviously like a person is going to change a lot. So at this point we are both still transitioning into being adults, and I don't know, her being older than me, like she's more advanced in adultness than I am, and so I don't really know how to describe her at this point. When we were kids, when we were kids, it started off like for probably like the first 3 years of me and her getting along and considering ourselves friends, but not liking each other. And that's just how it was. And then the years passed, one of her best friends, who was like my neighbor, we lived in walking distance from each other. So my next door neighbor and then her township neighbor, like if you consider everyone in the town your neighbor, her town neighbor, they were really close because they were closer in age, and I being like, let me try to give you like a time period, like I was like 6, so me being so young and then being 12, no not 12, 6, then being like 10 and like 13, they were closer than me and them were. So it was like them against me for a long time. That's why like me and Abby really did not like each other. However, my neighbor moved away, so Abby was like, well shit, who the fuck am I gonna hang out with now? And she chose me. So me and Abby then became close. And that stayed like that for a long time. Me and her were very close. We did everything together. We were attached at the hip. And it was great. And then come rolls around the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in high school. So this was 3 years ago. Things changed, and not for the better, for the worst, and that's where this lovely story comes into play. So it took 4 minutes for all that back information. I am proud of myself. So, oh my god, I keep my hair. So I was always very hesitant. So at this point, I was going into my sophomore year. She was going into her senior year. So it was her senior year, my sophomore year. We were still very much alike mentally, still very much alike. And, you know, things have changed. Like, she, like, probably, like, a year prior, like, she lost her virginity. I was still a virgin, you know, like, that kind of thing. So, like, things did change, but we were still very much, like, on the same wavelength, like, 110%, very much alike. But I was always hesitant to meet her friends because she hung out with a lot of guy friends who were all like stoners and like, yeah, like I popped 12 Xanax yesterday. Like those stupid ass, drop out, dumb ass people that like I don't want to associate myself with because I don't want to create a bad name for myself. But she hung out with all of them, so I was extremely hesitant to meet her friends. But one day, you know, I was like, I'll meet him, you know, like, I'll meet your best friend, and this was her best friend other than me. So she always said, like, he's just a guy version of you, like, you guys are, like, the same person, like, he might do things different than you, but, like, you guys are the same person. And I was like, okay, I'll meet him, and for the sake of this story, we'll call him, what sounds good with Abby? Abby and John. We'll call him John. So John was Abby's best friend, like hands down. Like I was like, and my importance to her was like a 50, his was at like a 45, like so close to me, but not as good as me, obviously. Just kidding. So I was like, you know what, like he's obviously really important to you, like I want to know like who's in your life, like yeah, I'll meet him, like let's go to your house. So one night it was me and her at her house, and she was like, hey, can I invite John? Can I invite John over? And I was like, yeah, like I told you that whatever, but I don't want him to spend the night. And that was something that I was very clear on, like I don't want him to spend the night just because I don't feel comfortable with that. I was obviously spending the night over at her house. And at this point, her mom was not home. Her mom has medical issues, and or she was like traveling or whatever. Like I don't fucking know. I don't care. Oh, that was mean. I do care about her medical issues, but I don't care what she was doing that night. She just wasn't home, and her house is very small, or was very small. It was basically like the size of an apartment was her whole entire house, and it was like a house, like not an apartment. And so it had a kitchen, a bathroom off of the kitchen, and then a living room, which was very, very tiny, like smaller than the room I am in now. Very, very tiny. And then off of that room was a bedroom with no door. There was no door to the bedroom. And then there was a couch on the wall opposite of the door, if that makes sense. This is all gonna come into play later. So she was like, yo, can I invite him over? And I was like, yeah, totally, like, go ahead. So he came over, and I knew that there was going to be drinking or drugs or something involved. And I knew that, being the smart person that I am, I'm not a goody two-shoes, not anything like that, I'm just smart. I knew that I was not going to get, like, shit-faced in front of these people. However, I did not want to seem like a pussy-ass bitch, so I was going to kind of make it more than I was actually drinking. So I was going to pretend like I was getting shit-faced, when in reality, I was, like, if 100% sober, I was, like, 90% sober. So they were, like, he came over, they were, like, doing shots of Jack Daniels, you know, I had like two, like literally like two, like that was it, and he kept pouring me more shots, and I was like, this is kind of weird. But oh, and in the bedroom there was two beds, one was her mom's and one was her bed. It was that small, they had to share a room, and yeah, just know that. And so like literally 2 shots in, Lily turns to me, and it was our plan all along that me and her were both gonna get to bed, because like he wasn't gonna spend the night. And so she was like, hey, like what if you slept on the couch and like John, oh shit, and like John like slept in the other bed, and like I slept in that bed. And I was of course like, But I didn't think anything of it, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't even fucking care. Like, I didn't know he was spending the night, but you know, whatever, because I obviously can't make a big deal about it in front of him. But like, if he were to leave the room, if the house was bigger where he couldn't hear me, but he could like literally go in like any place in the house and hear me, he could go outside of the house and hear me, like it was that small, I would have been like, bitch, fuck you. Like, I would have made a huge deal out of that, the fact that he was spending the night. But I didn't. I was just like, whatever, like I don't care. And so I kept drinking, and they kept doing this weird thing. Like, they would like she would be like, oh shit. She was like to him, and he'd be like back. Like, he was the ugliest motherfucker I have ever seen in my life. Ugly. And so I was just like, yo, like, I'm pretty tired. I think I'm gonna go to bed. And this was maybe like an hour, and they, at this point, they were drunk, shit-faced, wasted, like, and I was just like, yeah, like, I'm so drunk right now, like, I think I'm gonna go to bed, like, me, like, actually, that was me. And they were like, oh yeah, cool, like, whatever, like, and they were like, oh yeah, that's like, okay, like, fine, like, we'll go to bed, like, and I was like, okay, like, I didn't think you guys were gonna be that excited to go to bed. And keep in mind, like, I was going into my sophomore year, so, like, I still haven't been, like, exposed to, like, people yet. Like, the things that people will say and do. Like, I was obviously exposed to, like, sex and shit like that. Like, I watched Shane Dawson since I was 6, but I wasn't exposed to, like, people and their ways. So this is one of my first experiences with that. So I was like, okay, like, good night. So I went to bed, and I actually fell asleep pretty good, and I was sleeping, but I started getting sick, and so I would, like, wake up and be like, and I was like, whatever, like, and it wasn't even like I had that much to drink, like, I was just getting sick, like, even the next day, like, I was throwing up, but we'll get to that. And so I was woken up to pounding on the wall, and I have been raised in a house where, like, pounding on the wall, like, doesn't mean anything bad. It means like shut the fuck up. Like, if, like, I'm being too loud upstairs, my dad will pound on the wall to get me to shut up. So I woke up, and I was like, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I kept listening, and it was like, this is gonna get kind of graphic, I feel like. It was, like, synchronized. So it wasn't just like someone just was like, no, it was like, doom, 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 and, like, getting faster, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, they're fucking in there. Abbey and John are having sex, like in there. And this was the girl that, like, told me, like, this is gonna be me and you against him. Like, it's not gonna be him and I against you. Like, I know you're uncomfortable with this. And I was so uncomfortable with meeting him. Like just so uncomfortable, because I don't surround myself with grimy, dirty people. Like, and so she was like, it's gonna be me and you against him all night long. Like, you are my ride and die. Like, he's not gonna matter. Like, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, like, so I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm not gonna go in there and be like, you fucking slut. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So I was just like, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm literally gonna sleep. And then, because this is before I could drive, like, my mom had to come pick me up. It was not like 3-minute drive from my house, like, it wasn't that big of a deal. And so I was like, whatever, like, I'm just gonna sleep, and, like, it's gonna be fine. So, of course, I didn't sleep while it was happening, because, like, there was fucking pounding on the wall, just in case you don't know, like, of the bed hitting the wall. So I finally, after, like, fucking, like, an hour, it felt like an eternity, like, an eternity. So at this point, it is probably, like, 2 o'clock in the morning. After this, so this is, like, we probably stopped drinking around midnight. So this is, like, 2 hours after we stopped drinking, and they finish, or, like, what the fuck ever. So, like, at this point, like, I can understand, like, them still being, like, a little tipsy, but, like, not wasted. Like, they were not wasted. Like, they knew. They were comprehending what they were doing. And then there's, like, so much more. This is gonna be so long, guys. I'm sorry, but there's, like, so much of the story, and it gets better. And then, so I went to bed, and then I wake up, and I check my phone, and it's 3:30 at night. Fucking pounding on the wall. So at this point, they are sober. I don't give a fuck. They are sober. I know damn motherfucking well, and this is gonna matter. So, like, I know damn motherfucking well that they were sober at this point when they started fucking again. Round 2, this bitch needs to get fucked again. Like, this guy needs to bust a nut. And can I just mention, okay, now I'm getting heated. Can I just mention that he had a girlfriend this whole entire time? And, like, Abbey just motherfucking, like, broke up with her boyfriend of like, a year and a half, like, 2 days before this happened. So, like, what the fuck? So, I was just like, are you motherfucking serious? And then, they stopped at, like, it was probably only, like, 4 o'clock, so, like, they stopped, like, after 30 minutes, like, whatever. And then I wake up again, I went back to bed, and then I wake up again, and it's, like, 5 o'clock, and I am feeling sick. Like, sick as fuck. So I was a little tiny ass sophomore, like, I didn't know. So what I did is I went into the room and was like, shit, I almost just said her name. I was like, Abby, I'm going to barf. Like, can you please come help me? Like, I don't know. And she was like, no, you can do it by yourself. Like, just figure it out. Like, you don't need me to do it. Like, good night. Like, be a big girl. Get your big girl panties on. And I was like, fuck you, like, knowing what I knew. And she did not think, like, I can guarantee, like, at that moment, she did not think that I knew, like, what was happening. Like, she thought I was asleep. She thought I was drunk enough to be passed out for the rest of the motherfucking night when I wasn't even drunk at all. Fuck. Ugh. This is making me want to find her and punch her in the face. Okay. Anywho doody. So she was like, no, like, you can do it yourself. And so I was like, whatever. Like, I'm literally about to barf on you. Like, I should have. Like, I should have fucking barfed on her. Like, that would have been, like, the cherry on the top of the fucking cake. And then walked my ass home. I should have barfed on her. But I didn't. I respected her enough to not barf on her. So I went to the bathroom. I barfed. And I went back to bed for, like, 2 more hours. 6 o'clock rolls around. And I call my mom. Actually, no. 6 o'clock rolls around, John gets up to go to the bathroom, and of course, like, that woke me up because he had to walk right past me, and you can hear everything in that house because, like, it's literally the size of a jail cell. And, oh, that's a good way to put it. The living room was the size of a jail cell, and the bedroom was the size of a jail cell, and then, like, everything else was, like, a jail cell, like, the bathroom and the kitchen combined was a jail cell. So I could hear everything, so of course it woke me up, and then I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And so I checked the time, and I was like, it's 6, my mom is awake. Like, so I texted her, I was like, Mom, you have to come get me right now, like, right now, like, right the fuck now. And so I texted her 1,000 times, and then I went into the room. He wasn't in there, he was peeing or shitting or doing whatever. It, like, literally took him a long time. He was probably, like, listening to me. But I went into the room and was like, hey, like, wake up, Abby, like, wake up, I have to tell you something. And she was like, what? Like, what do you want? And I was like, you're a fucking slut. And I walked my ass out the door. And, like, on my way out the door, he passed me and he was like, are you leaving? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm leaving. Like, But I was just like, yeah, like, I'm leaving. He went back into the room. So, like, I still had to put my shoes on. And he went back into the room with her, and she told him, like, what I told her. And he stopped me, like, after I opened up the door, shut the door, got onto, like, the front porch type thing. He stopped me and was like, hey, like, me and Abby did not have sex last night. And I was like, you gonna motherfucking tell me that you did not have sex? I was like, okay, but, like, you did. Like, you did have sex. Like, don't lie to me. And at this point, I forgot to say this. Like, as I was, like, texting my mom, like, to let me leave, like, he was in the bathroom for a long time, like, 30 minutes, like, a long time. So, like, I had time to, like, collect my shit. I texted his girlfriend and was like, hey, just so you know, John fucked Abbey blank last night, like, just so you know, like, I'm at her house. And she was like, oh, like, that's a weird thing. It's like, she was awake, like, she was like talking to me, and he was like, so when he stopped me, he was like, we did not fuck. And he was like, but don't tell my girlfriend that I was even here. And I went, I already did. And at that moment, I swear to God, he wanted to punch me. But my mom was pulling in the driveway, and I was like, that's my mom. Bye. I gotta go. And so yeah, I don't know what happened after that in that house. I hope that they, like, screamed. Oh shit, okay. Hi, Abby. If you're watching this, you're gonna know how much of a psycho-ass bitch and how much I hated you. So, my plan was to never talk to her again, like, ever. Like, I was like, fuck this bitch. Like, I'm fucking done. Like, suck my cock. Like, I hate you. Hate you, hate you. So, at this point, she was texting me nonstop, like, hey, like, what, like, can you please talk to me, like, we need to talk about this. And I was like, okay, I'll talk to you if you admit one thing, like, that you fucked him. And she was like, I'm not gonna admit anything over text. So at this point, she made John and Abby made me look fucking crazy. Like, everybody thought I was making this up. And, like, she went to a different school than I did, so it wasn't like my people from my school really knew, but, like, everybody at her school knew my name, like, knew that I was fucking crazy, but didn't know that she was a fucking whore and that he was cheated on his girlfriend. Like, what? But anywho, we were best friends, so she should just, like, log on to to her Facebook, like, on my, like, devices that I had. She was still logged on, like, my mom's tablet or some shit, or, like, my browser on my phone. So I was like, let me take a scroll through their messages. I was that done with this bitch. Like, I was like, I'm gonna expose her, like, of being a whore. Like, here's a little news to, like, people at school watching this. You probably already know this, but I used to be a fucking savage. I would fuck a bitch lives up, like, if they double crossed me. Like, I would fuck somebody up, like, not even physically, like, mentally, emotionally, like, tear them the motherfucking down until they realize that I'm not one to fucking be reckoned with. So yeah, that happened. So I was scrolling through message, and they were like, just keep it on the download, don't tell anybody that it happened ever, like, keep it so secretive. And I bet to you that I could actually find some of these screenshots that I took. So if I can find some of these, I'll insert them. If not, don't shoot me, it happened. But if I can find the receipts, I will. And so they were just like, don't tell anybody. And then they were like, but last night was fucking amazing, and, like, that shit. And she I keep just, like, forgetting details, and now they're, like, back in my brain. She posted a status on Facebook that was like, I love when people spread rumors about me. It got like 50,000 likes. Like, not really, it got like 50 likes. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm not spreading a rumor about you. Like, I'm telling a tale about you. Like, that actually motherfucking happened. Like, if she were to walk into my room right now, I would punch that bitch in the face. Like, and that's not, like, that's not, like, an unrealistic possibility. Like, she could probably just, like, walk up here right now. I think she would turn around and go home when she heard to come up the stairs and hear me talking about her. But, so I was just like, fuck, like, I was like, whatever. So then she was like, yo, like, we need to meet. Like, we need to meet each other at the park, which is like just a place that people go to hang out at, like, where I'm from. And she was like, we need to meet and talk about this. And I was like, okay. So she drove there, and I walked there because I was a sophomore in high school, and I didn't have a car. So I walked there, and she was like, if you're gonna try anything stupid, like beating me up or anything, like, don't even bother to come. And I was like, oh, I'm not, like, I'm not going to. And so I got there, and she wasn't even there yet, but I was, like, sitting there, like, in the gazebo, like, just chilling. And she walked up, and she was like, hi, like, she was like, hey. And I was like, hi. And I think, if I recall right, she brought me something, like, that to, like, make me happy. Like, I don't, like, bitch, I'm still gonna kill you, like, what do you think? And so she like brought me something and I was like, so I was not about it. Like I was like, yeah, like I was like really distant, and she was like, yes, I did have sex with him, like yes, like all this, like confessing to everything. And she was like, blah 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 blah. And I don't really remember the conversation because I was so heated at this point. And I basically told her that we were never gonna be friends again. One, that she fucked everything up. Two, and like let me just tell you, like she was way more dependent on me than I was on her at this point. Like in our friendship, like before all this happened, like she loved me way the fuck more than I loved her. Like I loved her, like don't get me wrong, but like she loved me and I just like loved her, you know. And so she like started crying and I was like, I walked, like there's like a long walk back to the road and then like a long walk back to my house. It's not really a long, like a 5-minute walk back to my house. So I walked by and I turned around and I said, fuck you, you fucking slut. And I just kept walking, and she called me like on her way home and she was like, you can't just fucking do this. You can't just end my friendship. Like we had so much, like you can't just do this. And I was like, bitch, yes I can. And I said, okay, no, I want to use this as my phone. I said, I just did. Like hung up the phone, and she actually drove past me walking and like was like crying, and I was like, this is all I've ever wanted in my life. Like fuck you, like I literally hate you. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I didn't talk to her for like, I want to say like 8 months after that. Like we did not talk. And yeah, that was the story about how my best friend traumatized me. And like even after that, like for a long time, like I did not want to have sex. I did not want to like look at a guy. Like I did not, like I was traumatized, like asexual for a good 4 months. And yeah, that's how my best friend fucked me over. So yeah, if you liked this story time, I will do more. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this story time. Alright, you guys, that was it. Thank you for listening to me bitch about a bitch that I'm still friends with. She watched this whole motherfucking video. She saw the title and was like, So, that was it. I still never really got an apology. But anyways, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to y'all in the next one. Bye! Another quick tidbit. I do have a Snapchat. I will put it right here on my hand. There it is. I'm holding it. Follow me, add me. Bye!